Drive Energy live here on Wednesday, hump day. We got a major hangover, but we're going to talk some golf because the Colonial Country Club Charles Schwab Challenge is coming up this weekend. Rory McIlroy is now divorced, so we're going to give him some potential suitors on the market, some ladies on the market out there that might fit well with the Northern Irishman. We're also going to talk about our favorite golf holes because a few came to mind when I thought about this in general. And just there's some really good golf holes that I've played, some really bad ones. What makes a good hole? What makes a bad hole? What makes a great hole? You never know. All right, let's tee it up. What is up, buddy? Our first podcast back away from each other. Once again, if you're on TikTok, watching this live on TikTok, head over to YouTube, youtube.com, Big Drive Energy Golf. You can watch our pod live or any of our pods live or any of our content over on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in on TikTok, though, because TikTok is our little honey hole. But I want to go over to start just, what's going on in our lives at the moment, because you are sadly back on the East Coast, but you got to go visit your new golf course. So I want to hear about that. I want to hear about where you're working this summer, where you're teaching at, the golf course scenario. It's a brand new track, so like some of the stuff that goes into that, I want to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a place called Old Bridge Golf Club. The nickname is the Rose at Old Bridge. Awesome logo. The logo is a rose. So it looks super clean. It looks fire. So brand new track. Basically, one of the investors in town is building warehouses. And so the town told this guy that he needed to build something recreational in order to offset, the emissions or whatever of having building more warehouses. So he built a golf course. So that's just a power move right off the bat. Like, if you just have enough money to just build a golf course. But I got to give a shout out to Ryan McDonald. He is the director of golf over there. And I got connected when I was selling pins and aces this last fall. I emailed him. He wanted to meet up and see some of the gear. So then we met up and I ended up spending like 2.5, 3 hours there. And this is before they were even open. So then I told him, I was like, hey dude, if you need help teaching this next summer, let me know. Like, I'd love to help out where I can. And, he hit me up like in March and he's like, hey dude, I think we probably need some help teaching. Like, what do you think? And I was like, 100% I'm in. So, it is very cool and very odd in certain ways because, we were at our golf course, our previous golf course for years and years. So, everybody, and you have, a set of regulars, a set of people that come in. We had members. This place is fully public, so it has no members. But the other weird thought is like, there is no regulars here yet. There is no, nobody knows anybody. So I'm kind of like just as new as anybody else because nobody really knows who is the staff, who's running the place. Ryan has done a very, very good job of, he's all about customer service and making sure people enjoy the time they have there, which is awesome. And he just wants it to feel like a big family, which is like what I felt like we tried to do at our golf course. So I think he's doing it really well. The culture is awesome. But then the golf course itself, so it's got a lit up driving range. So the driving range is open till like 10 p.m., which is sick. It's got music on the driving range, which is awesome.
Sick for the people, or definitely not sick for the employees?
Well, no. So that's what's I talked to him about that because he wants my input for some reason, not really my input, but just little things that I notice here and there, like, because when you're running a golf course, you have so much to worry about that some of the small things just slide right by you. So I'm just going to keep my eye out for all the small things if I notice them. But they sell range balls directly from the range machine. So they don't need employees necessarily there after carts come in because they just leave the driving range. It kind of closes itself down. Maybe they do have a cart kid that stays till the end of the night to clean up after people. I'm not exactly 100% sure how that works, but then they also have a little mini golf course there, which is pretty interesting. Like, very new kind of wave of a thought to have it a full 18-hole golf course. But it is a great option for little kids. It's a great option to do like junior stuff on. And then just in the summertime, like kids do birthday parties there, all of that stuff. So it is kind of a cool thing. And so there's actually no restaurant there yet. They're working on getting a liquor license. It's all kind of, it's all in the works. They wanted to open up obviously before they get their liquor license, but Ryan has also done a really good job of like, he's bringing in food trucks every week too.
Oh, that's
So
a great call, dude. This guy sounds like he's got it fucking dicked.
yeah, dude, he does. And he's got it dialed in. He bought me lunch the first day I was out there at the food truck, and I got a shrimp wrap, like a bang bang shrimp wrap. It was phenomenal. So just an all around super cool dude. But I'll give you a little background on him because he's actually had a pretty cool experience in golf, and I talked to him about possibly coming on the podcast, and he was like, I get too camera shy, man. Like he just didn't really want to. And the funny thing is, because now, so he runs this public golf course, fully public, no members. The three places he worked at before this were ultra private, ultra wealthy, like super exclusive golf clubs. So he worked at I was about to say the Rose. He worked at Butler National in Chicago, men's only. So also the other fun fact, the three country clubs he's worked at are all men's only. This is the first time I was like, what does it feel like seeing women out here on the golf course? Like, does it feel weird for you? Because all these last places he's worked at have been men's only. So he worked at Butler National in Chicago. Then he went down to Florida, and there's this place called Adios. And I guess it's super sick, super high end, like super exclusive. You can't take pictures while you're there, no phones, that kind of thing. And then he got a connection because the same dude that owns Adios owns this place up here in New Jersey called Due Process Country Club or Due Process Golf Club. It's actually called, let me fix that. It's Due Process Stables. So
and that's a golf course?
Yes. And
Dude, these names are so fucking sick. Like, I'm so jealous. All the lame ass names we got here in Colorado. Like, do you want to play City Park or Murphy Creek? Oh.
I know.
Fucking
It's
Due
whatever.
Process Stables. You kidding me?
I know. And it's super sick because it's in this area called, like, there's a town nearby called Colts Neck, and like Donald Trump has a course in Colts Neck, and it's a very like wealthy, affluent area. So this place called Due Process is owned by the dude who started Tropicana. Is it? No, it wasn't Tropicana. What was it? It was Arizona Iced Tea. He owns Arizona Iced Tea, so he's a billionaire. So he owns Adios and he owns Due Process. And I asked Ryan, I was like, what is even the initiation over there? And he goes, honestly, dude, he was the assistant pro there for years at Adios and at Due Process. And he said, I can't even tell you what the initiation is. He was like, it all depends on how much the owner likes you. Like, that's how much you buy in for, is how much the owner likes you. So I thought that was insane. And just the entire place looks like a horse stable because there's a lot of horse farms down there, like really high-end horse farms in that area. And so they built this, Ryan told me this offseason, they just built a learning facility, like, so a teaching facility. They have 2 indoor outdoor bays. But then behind that, they have a cigar lounge. They have a gym. They have a whole cocktail bar all inside of the driving range.
Dude, what I don't understand how behind we are in the times out here, and just anywhere I've ever been.
It's super, super high end. Like, it is. Ryan said you can tell when a member is new there if they turn their head when they hear a helicopter landing. Like, they said it was so regular for people to just helicopter in and out of there that if you like turned and like stared at the helicopter, they could tell you were new there or you were a guest of somebody, because that's how regular it is for people to just take a chopper in and out of there. So it is kind of funny though, because like I said, those 3 places are super private, men's only, super high end, super exclusive. And now he's running a fully public golf course. So he's catching all ends of the spectrum, but I truly do not know. Maybe he worked at a public golf course when he was younger. He's from the Chicago area. So he's a big Cubs fan. He's got like Cubs stuff hanging up in his office, but truly just a one of a kind, great dude. So I got really lucky with that. He made me feel at home right away. But yeah, I'm already going to start teaching there. I've got some lessons lined up for Thursday. And then I've got some lined up already for next week. So I'm going to head. Oh, I guess tomorrow's Thursday. So I've got some lessons lined up for tomorrow. I'm going to be teaching Tuesdays, Thursdays, and probably some Saturdays out there. So just try to fill as much of my day as I can. But then this weekend we are going to the beach for Memorial. Is it Memorial Day? Is that
Memorial Day is Monday.
yeah? So we're going on Friday, and we're just gonna hang out Friday and come back Saturday. But I'm really looking forward to that. The weather's getting nice. It's like 87 and sweaty as shit out here. I was just at Costco, literally dripping in sweat like such a fat ass. Um, like just super unfortunate, but it is so humid here now, and it I guess it's supposed to cool down like later this week and get into like early next week, get into like the 60s. But right now it's like 87 and hot as shit.
So with him working, like him starting this golf course, was it like, did you find out, was he like in a, not a lottery, but like was there a lot of applicants for this in terms of like, or is it just that who the owner knows, or did he have a connection there?
So yes, it's once again, any kids that are listening to this, it's not what you know, it's who you know, because he was working at Due Process, and one of the members working at Due Process is the guy that owns this golf course. So he basically pulled him straight from there. He goes, "Hey, you want to come run a golf course?" And he's like, "Absolutely." So he got the job directly from another member over at Due Process. And yeah, nobody even applied. There was never a job opening. It was just, "Here, Ryan, do you want this job? Here you go." So that is definitely, having connections is bigger than anything in life. We've learned that through multiple things. But yeah, he's got a pretty sweet gig. I will say he's working 7 days a week right now. And I've mentioned it a few times. I don't know if I've said it to you. He reminds me a lot of Justin Serbo, our old boss, listener. What's up, Serbo, if you're listening to this? But I was like, "What days are you taking off?" He's like, "None right now." I'm like, "What time are you here?"
So,
He's like,
some
"Rook."
evenings.
Yeah. I was like, "What hours are you like? How many hours a week you work?" And he's like, "Only rookies count, right?" And I'm like, "Dude, he's there like 6 a.m. to probably 5 p.m. and then coming back at night to make sure shit's straight." Like he's probably working 12 to 14-hour days, like 7 days a week. So I can't say that I'm jealous of the position he's in, because and that is the crazy thing too, is we've been there, but we've never, this is kind of a one of one situation for him where he's never, nobody, how many people do you know that get open a brand new golf course and be there from day one? So pretty wild thing. I want to get into the golf course for just a second though, because it's like 6,400 yards from the back tee, so it's not long. But it is a really cool layout. There's a few water hazards here and there, a lot of
So
dog legs.
real quick, there's no houses on it then, not a single house.
No, so that it backs up to a few different, like, I want to say there's a total of like two or three houses from like random communities that are on the golf course, but it is kind of pretty much like old farmland from what I can tell. So that is kind of the vibe that I really liked right off the bat. It's super, you feel like you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Um, Super cool layout. A lot of dog legs. The greens are big. The greens are tough. And it reminds me of our old spot in the way of like tee to green. It's not really going to eat you up. Like it's not super challenging tee to green, but then the greens are where you really have to know the course to score. So the greens are big, the greens are tough, and everything's brand new, so it's going to take a little time for everything to settle in. But yeah, I love the spot. I'm super stoked to be there.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I just seen some of the pictures you sent me and just the vibe of a brand new golf course. Is it a fairly 20 questions here? Is it a fairly like neighborhooded area then? Is there like a lot of people that are close to it, and how many, is there a course that's close like nearby? Basically, like does it have like a feeder community that a bunch of people will consistently be regulars at?
Yes, so it does have that, but the crazy thing is actually there's a weird pocket in the middle of New Jersey that a lot of people don't really realize. But it's between, so you have North Jersey and you have South Jersey. I've explained this to you, Spencer, a little bit. But basically, there's nobody really considers there to be a central New Jersey. There definitely is. And I would almost consider this like central Jersey because it's not really a Philly suburb. It's like halfway between New York and Philadelphia. So it's kind of right there in between. But the crazy thing is there's not like a public golf course within 30 minutes of the place. And it's a fairly highly populated area, but there's just so many country clubs that like they are going to absolutely eat up the public golf. They already, I mean, they have, what was it? The day I was, Sunday, they had 230 on the sheet. Monday, they had close to 200 players. They're cranking it out. So it's kind of hit the ground running right off the bat. And they are doing something too for like the local people, the Old Bridge residents. So yeah, there is quite a bit of people around there that play golf that don't have anywhere to play it because there's simply no public golf. So it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel for them. Like it is definitely needed in the area.
Oh yeah, we saw that firsthand with a course that didn't have anything near it. You know, the closest course that we worked at was 15 minutes to the nearest course, and then that was a private. And like I think the closest public course was at least 30 minutes away, if
Yeah.
not further. So it's cool that they're getting that ability to be like busy right off the bat and don't have to start with that, because that's a huge undertaking obviously financially, but brand new golf course has got to be something pretty awesome to behold. And the food truck idea is sick because you got to keep people there for more than just golf, especially this isn't like an ultra exclusive country club. I'd love to talk to Ryan just to get his feel like after a couple weeks. I don't know how much shop time he does. I would imagine not a ton, but just the total stark contrast in people that come into a Butler National or due process versus a versus this public facility. Real quick before we get into some more golf stuff, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Bet365. We place all our golf bets every week through Bet365. We'll have our card for the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial at the end of the podcast, but last week we just missed on a few. Bryson DeChambeau tied for the lead. One basically he was tied for the lead until it was over. Essentially, he was not tied for the lead after Xander Schauffele made the putt to win it. But we had him at 20-1 on the Bet365 app. I also hit on Colin Morikawa. He was plus 2,000 even, I believe, as well to each way top 12, and this is the best way. And I will say, so we talk about this a little bit with Bet365. Definitely use that code ALLCITY in all caps when you sign up, and you're getting $5 bet into $150 in bonus bets or a first bet deposit safety net of up to $1,000. So you can bet up to $1,000. If it doesn't hit, you can log back in, you get that back in bonus bets, and you can retry a big bet to get your account started in the right way. I did head over to the Bet365 app and check their score tracking. And compared to the PGA Tour, I think I was checking on Colin Morikawa. Bet365 app had Colin Morikawa on 7 fairway, and PGA Tour app for a PGA championship. I know PGA Tour, PGA America is separate entities, but same concept. The PGA Tour app had him on 6 still, on 6, hitting onto 6 green. So the Bet365 app, not only great for betting golf, but if you're just tracking golf, it was way far ahead of any of the apps I was using. I was actually getting frustrated because I'm just in the habit of always using the PGA Tour app. So now I'm going to use the Bet365 app to watch golf. It's by far the best app to use for betting, but also the best app to use for tracking golf because you're not able to see every single podcast, or you're not able to see every single shot on the broadcast. But now you're able to track your players and you can even favorite them, etc. I also want to tell you guys about our friends over at Shady Rays. I got my Shady Rays on. What's up, James, by the way? I got my Shady Rays on. Use code AC35 at checkout. Dude, I know you missed out. Your Green Wolf polarized glasses came to the house the other day right after you left, but I use
I
those
think
on the
you have
golf.
to ship them to me.
Yeah, I might just do that. I did use them on the golf course on Monday, and it's incredible the difference in, honestly, when it got a little darker because we got a little overcast towards the end. It was not as great. It was kind of harder to see. It definitely made the grass stand out more. You can see that in our TikTok and our Instagram at Big Drive Energy Pod on Instagram. We did a little reel for Shady Rays, but I have those in my golf bag now. The Green Wolf Golf polarized glasses are incredible. I'm going to only be using those for golf, and I'm going to really try. Now I have enough pairs of Shady Rays because I've always got the car glasses. I've got the backpack glasses, got the work glasses for the podcast, and now I've got the golf bag sunglasses in a nice little case so they stay safe. But I'm going to try my best to leave them in there and not lose them. Shady Rays, check it out. Use code AC35 to save 35% off of premium polarized sunglasses. The Green Wolf golf glasses will not steer you wrong. They are incredible. Speaking of my round of golf, this week basically was my first time. These are not the Green Wolves, unfortunately. No, I have the Green Wolves in my golf bag, only in the golf bag for now. These are just their standard pair, but also polarized to make it kind of hard to see some things sometimes, like when you're looking at screens. Great for the golf course though. But so my round of golf, I won't get too into it. Shot even par, no big deal. But it was kind of a funny story when I was pulling in. So I'm a big back in your truck guy, and I don't know, that may go to my fairway or four later on. I may be like divulging a little late pod information, but I'm a back in your truck guy especially when my clubs are in the back seat because of my current tailgate butt fuck situation. So my clubs are in my back seat now because my tailgate sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Got rear-ended, long story short. So I'm backing into this spot, and this fucking guy rolls his cart up right behind my truck like he's trying to drive somewhere in the parking lot. And he starts yelling, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, can you not see my reverse lights are on? I'm trying to back into this spot that's right here so I don't have to drive another 100 feet and walk even further when I'm already late for my tee time. Shocker. And so
You're fucking tee times, bro.
I know, dude. It's because I think I have more time than I do. It's just
you're late for everything. It pisses me off more than anything in this world.
It's a habitual issue I have, but I'm not late. I'm just mildly late. Like if you show up at 12:03 for something at 12, that's not really late. That's kind of like, he's kind of here on time. If you show up at like 12:20, that's late.
I would say you're more like 10 to 15 minutes late for most things. And it almost bugs me more that it's so close because it's like, if you had something actually holding you up that made you late, then I would get it. But you just think you have more time than you do because I know you. You think you have more time, and then 50, because I've done the same shit, but I usually just do it earlier than you do. Like 10 minutes before you walk out the door, you've got 8 things to do. You're like shaving your asshole. I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing a million things when you're trying to walk out the door. I'm like, bro, didn't you need to leave like 10 minutes ago? So that's just kind of how you operate.
All right, fair enough. So and then I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to back into this spot anymore. This guy's fucking got me in a tizzy. So I pull back out of the half backed in spot and I start driving, and he's like evening me with the car in the cart, and he's like
playing a game of chicken.
Yeah, basically, like he's right next to me. And so then I go to pull into another spot, which ended up being right next to his car, but pulling forward, and he pulls his cart right into the spot. And so I'm like, God, this fucking guy. I'm like, oh, and then I have to back out again and go. I fucking drove to the end of the parking lot. And he gets out, I get out of the car, and I'm like, I'm so annoyed. I lost my fucking Zyn can. Couldn't find it anywhere. I'm late. Some of my clubs are out of my bag because I went to the range. Some are in the bag. It was just not fun. And then he goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know what you're trying to do there." I'm like, yeah, it wasn't clearly obvious that I was trying to back into a fucking parking spot, you dipshit. Show up on the first tee. He's in our group. And I'm like, oh my God, really? He's like, his name was Buddy. I'm like, your name's not, I was like, is your last name the Elf or what? Like, what the fuck? Your name's not Buddy. What's your real name? But he went by Buddy, so we called him Buddy.
It was probably like Walter. What was he, in like his 60s?
No, he's like 40, probably.
Oh, okay. It was probably one of those nicknames you give yourself. He'll be like, everybody can call me Buddy. Real quick, on the topic of cars, I got to tell you, this is hilarious. Since we didn't get to do a Mulligan of the Week this week, So the first day I was out at Old Bridge on Monday, I park over on the like south edge of the parking lot, and I bought a car out here. So now I have two separate cars. So I have a car in Colorado, a car here. So it's a white Hyundai Elantra. It's like a 2018, whatever. It's dude, the
Sick
thing gets
ride, dude.
dude, it gets like 42 miles to the gallon. It's phenomenal. Like that, I get way more satisfaction than I should out of my car getting just supreme gas mileage. Like I'm cruising on the highway. I'm not getting that thing over like 2,500 RPMs because I just watch that, like, the fuel estimator. It's like, oh, you have this many miles left. You're getting this to the gallon. I'm like, yes, I'm just so like stoked because Old Bridge is like a 35, 40 mile drive. So it's not like short by any means, but it's just like the perfect commuter car. Anyways, relatively generic car. So I park, I go in, I'm bullshitting, I'm getting the lay of the land, walking around. I go back out to my car and I look in my bumper, there's like a huge rip in my bumper, like in the back of it. And my car looks all dirty. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, did I not look at this? Because I bought it and I didn't do like a shitload of research. Like I went that day and I was like, I'm buying a car. And so, I mean, I test drove it and shit, but I didn't like go over with a fine tooth comb. So I walk out of the parking lot and I'm like, holy shit, this bumper's ripped. There's like paint scratches everywhere. This shit's all fucking dirty. And so I'm like grabbing the bumper, like pulling on it and shit. I then realize that it's not my car. It is, there's a truck, there's a big truck in between us, and then the exact same model car on the other side of the truck. That's my car. And so I told my girlfriend about that. She's like, I wish so bad the owner of that car would have walked out and been like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I was legit like kicking the bumper and like fucking trying to like line the plastic back up. And I was like looking in the doors and dude, it looked like I was trying to steal this guy's car because I thought it was mine. I was like, so that was my mulligan of the week, just 100%. And then I looked at my car, like no scratches, no dents. I'm like, fuck yeah, that. I was like, that's more like it. That's what I was like. That's what I thought it looked like when I bought it, but it just threw me for a loop, dude. Exact same car, two spots over. I was like, holy shit, I need to pay closer attention next time.
That's like the second time that's happened to you. So
Yeah, I don't know but it wasn't the last time I had like a rental car, and it's just like
yeah.
now having a generic ass white Hyundai, like I need to do something to designate it, to plant my flag. Maybe I need to paint the rims or something, like get some 24s on that thing just so everybody knows whose Hyundai Elantra is rolling around.
Everybody knows it's me in the Hyundai Elantra. But
Yeah,
anyways, so
when I get a subwoofer in the back and fucking 24s on that thing, I'll be rattling the rearview mirrors. I pull into the golf course. It'll be like, oh yeah, that's Mitch rolling in.
oh, that's Mitch is coming in hot. So we played with this dude, actually a pretty nice dude, but he was the typical, and sorry if he's listening now. I think I told him about the pod, but he was just not very good, and that's fine. It's really fine. He actually played quick, so it was great. But I don't know how many times I heard I'm usually not this bad, and I fucking can't stand it. I'm sorry, but just don't say that. Just word of advice to all you golfers out there. If you're playing with new people, you're having a bad day, just make light of it, be funny, but just know that it's not that you've ever not been that bad. Wow, that was a word salad, but like don't say I'm never this bad or but it was funny. So I was trying to help him out. I did help him out with his driver swing. He had the ball in like the back of his stance with the driver. I'm like, holy Christ.
So he got worse as the round went on once you were done with him?
Yeah, exactly. No, I told him simple trick to tee the ball up near your front foot, and then he at least started making better contact, hitting it off the ground a few times. But I was trying to be nice, and I'm even par. He has no clue what the fuck is going on. I'm trying to help him out, and he was like, yeah, it's just like, I thought I was going to quit mid-round today, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, man, we've all been there. Like, we've all wanted to quit golf. And he goes, I'm usually never there. I've never even been close to that. And I'm like, okay, big dick. I can go make 12 again. Then think about quitting. I was like, I was just trying to be nice. And I don't think about quitting. If I played as bad as you did, I think about quitting. But
Oh, dude. Well, and that's the thing is, uh, word of advice, like you were saying to everybody, the moment you say you're never this bad, it automatically makes everyone in the group think that you're worse than you are.
yeah,
Like,
think you might be having a good day.
yeah, exactly. You're inside your brain. You're like, holy shit, I'm careering it. I'm going off right now. And you're telling everybody you're like, oh, I'm never this bad. Like you're like, I look either like a really bad 12 right now or like a really good 20. So I'm gonna act like I'm that really bad 12 that's just never shot this high before in my life, but it's low key my career round. And by the way, there's no shaming of career rounds or anything like that, but you don't then have to, what is the word? You don't have to oh god, I'm just totally blanking on the word right now. Uh,
Explain. Explain
yes, you don't
yourself.
have to elaborate as to how well you're playing relative to your average round of golf. You don't have to qualify it with that. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Because
One.
uh, ultimately, like nobody really gives a shit unless somebody, even if somebody told me they were like a +5, I'd be like, wow, very cool. They told me they were a 40, I'd be like, wow, very cool. There's really no, I truly, if you give a shit what somebody else's handicap is, you need to worry about your own handicap maybe, because that's a typical move too. Anybody that's like, are you sure you're this? It's like, who gives a shit, man?
Yeah, just have a good be good company, have a good time on the golf course, play fast, and everybody will enjoy whether you shoot 140 or 72. One
Yeah.
other funny comment from the round from Fisher. So the Bev cart rolls up on like the fifth hole, and she goes, "How you guys doing?" He goes, "Better now." He goes, and then he goes, "Sure you haven't heard that before." Like, it's so funny, dude, because being in the position we are, where you've worked on the other end of the counter and you've heard every cliche, like sometimes you just can't get it out of your mind and not say it. Like you just want to say it. And you know it's the douchiest thing you could ever say, and it's just so cringy, but you just say it because it's what you say, you know? Like I there's we could do a whole podcast, and maybe we should make a segment of like all the lame cliche things golfers say, because we're all a victim of it. And you only get to make fun of it if you're on the other side of the counter, and when it happens, you're like, oh, look at this fucking guy. But when you're in it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna say this, and I know it's gonna come out exactly the way I used to talk shit about, but it's just what it is.
Yeah, I will say too that being on the other side, like being behind the desk, I forgot what it was like because I'm a few years removed. But I went right back to it when I was down at Old Bridge. I was talking to somebody, and I just immediately brought up the weather. Like I'm fucking 75 years old. I'm like, God, just a beautiful day. Like a little bit of breeze. You get way too into talking about the weather, and then I realized I was like, that used to be my go-to like small talk. You can always bring up the weather. If you got nothing else, you'd be like, God, it's a real gloomy day out, or like, wow, isn't it nice? And so I just immediately felt myself falling back into that trap.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to the best of us, but weather is always a good just like segue to anything, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you don't realize I was talking to Ryan about this, especially at a public golf course. Um, because country clubs, they don't, depending on the country club, they don't have near as much play or whatever. But at a public golf course, a bad weather day can mean the difference between having 30 people on the tee sheet or having 230 people on the tee sheet. So I was like, what's it like just now having your life and work life be dictated completely by the weather? He's like, oh, dude, I never thought I'd have to worry so much about it. He's like, I could tell you the forecast every day for the next 7 days. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I don't miss looking at the weather app every day, just hoping it would fucking snow in the middle of July or something so I could have a day to myself.
Yeah, Christmas in July,
Yeah,
fucking
he's going through that
Santa,
now.
bring it, Santa. All
Yeah,
right,
bringing up Mother Nature, fucking pepper us with some snow.
let's segue this into, let's just talk about good golf holes, good and bad golf holes. So this is kind of a intertwined segment with the Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas, the host of the Charles Schwab Challenge this upcoming weekend. We'll give you our picks at the end. Make sure you hang around. Um, they redid the entire golf course. So we're talking about, you got a new golf course you're dealing with. We got a full redesign that is coming to Colonial, and it's funny because I was looking through they did a really cool YouTube video on it. I didn't watch all the way through it because I had a meeting, but basically there's like a 35-minute YouTube video on all the redesign, talking to Gil Hands, who redesigned it himself, and then all of the trucks and the construction and how quick they did it. And they said that it was about an 18-month project that they had to turn into an 11-month project. And they said construction, basically, it was kind of a joke, but Emiliano Grillo won last year. And they said the second he walked off the golf course and they got the people off and the pictures done, they started construction because they needed to have it ready for this week for the tournament. And so, yeah, they fit 18 months of construction into 11 months, which is kind of ironic because if my brother-in-law is listening to this, he's in construction, but usually construction companies fit an 11-month project into 18 months. So kind of a switcheroo there, going actually less time.
Have you ever driven by a construction site and seen anybody actually doing anything ever? Like, I
Very
swear to Christ,
rarely.
every time I walk by or drive by, it's just dudes with their hands in their pockets, fucking drinking a coffee on their cell phone. I'm like, no wonder this shit takes forever. So you're telling me they actually had people working for 11 months of the year. And that's the crazy thing is, like, I mean, I obviously I got a good buddy who's also in the construction industry, but I give him shit about it too. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude, people stand around all the fucking time." And I'm like, "Yeah, what is going on with that? Like, what other?" And I guess it's a blue collar job, so you know you can't just fucking get after it 8 hours a day, 8-10 hours a day with physical labor 5 days a week. Like, I would die. But at the same time, it's just a coincidence. Every time I drive by, I'm like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
All right, back on track. So, what makes a good golf hole to you? Or give me a golf hole that we've mutually played that is something that suits your eye or something that you enjoy about like a specific hole, and then we'll talk about what we don't enjoy because I've got a few ideas on both of these.
Okay, so what I would say in general, a hole that just a general makeup of a hole that I really like is a hole that really like forces it shapes your eye. So your eye can kind of envision a shot, like it gives you somewhat of a what would I call it? Almost like a tunnel. You know what I mean? Like I guess my mind thinks in that way where I kind of envision a tunnel I want to hit it in. And so like the 11th hole at City Park, for example, there's that big runoff from the left side of the fairway or even up into the rough down to the right. And there is water to the right, but you know, if you hit it up the left, it's going to end up in the fairway. It's going to run forward and down to the right. And so something like that, where if I know I can hit it here and it will end up where I want it to, then I like that. Like, I almost would prefer curvature on a hole rather than a really straightforward hole. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat because when you just step up to a straightforward hole, your mind goes crazy with all the possibilities of like, oh, I want to hit a high draw here. And you're the biggest victim of it. Like, I hear you talk about working the ball like you're Bubba fucking Watson. And I'm like, dude, just hit a baby fade, aim down the left center and hit fade in the middle. You're like, dude, I'm going to take it over this tree and draw it 50 yards. Like, you're just trying to work the ball all over God's creation. But when a hole is predisposed to, or, you know, pre-positioned to make you need to hit a certain ball flight, it's much easier to wrap your head around that. So that is one of the biggest things I would say for me.
Yeah, I'm a big sucker for it's actually our thumbnail picture for the YouTube. Once again, youtube.com, Big Drive Energy Golf. All our pods are on there live.
Wait, can I say that's 17 at Bear Dance?
Yep, exactly. And
Okay.
it's not my favorite hole of all time, but I'm a sucker for a par 3 that has water on the right or left that runs down in front, and it's just like a whole waterfall through the entire hole. And I mean, that's a tough hole. Like, you basically have to hit the green, or else you're either in the water, or you can hit. I guess you can hit it a little left and be in the rough. But I'm a sucker for just like a view of a hole, especially a par 3 with a water feature. A pond is fine, but like an uphill or downhill par 3 with some water on it is probably my favorite type of hole.
See, I will say that an uphill par 3 for me, cannot fucking stand. I cannot stand when I can't see the ball land. Like I am now we can get into what we don't like. I hate blind golf shots. I think that's stupid as fuck. And especially like, if you're out of position and you have a blind shot, then sure. But if you're in perfect position and you can't see the green, I think that is some of the stupidest shit that's ever been made in my entire life. Um, so there is a local designer in Colorado that I will not say his name, but he designed some Mickey Mouse ass golf courses, and there's the greens are obscene. I just like a good fair test. Like if you go out and play well, you're going to shoot a good score, and if you play poorly, you're going to get penalized. But there's certain courses where they're built for you to not be penalized, and then there's certain courses like you've never played Bear Creek, and I was talking to my buddy Zach. His dad's a member out there. We need to go play out there because you will probably shoot like 85. I'm not shitting you, and you will still just like appreciate because it's not gimmicky. It's just hard. Like you have to hit it in a 10-15 yard window on so many holes that if you execute, you'll get rewarded. But if you don't, you're fucking hosed. So I can respect a good hard golf hole, but gimmick is where I get lost.
Yeah, like a lot of the courses in Colorado fall victim to, and a lot of them are designed by the same dude, but people fall victim to loving the golf course because of the views, which is a fair thing depending upon your skill level and you're kind of maybe you're just getting into golf and you're like, wow, I more enjoy it for the outside, and golf is kind of secondary. So I can see that part of it, but when you're actually like trying to play a good round of golf or put some good shots together or be competitive at a place like that, sometimes they just overuse the views and the scenic aspect of it rather than making like a good golf hole or a fair golf hole. One thing I'll get into, maybe one of my least favorite holes of all time that I've played, and that's if you guys have any of you have played in Colorado, played in Westminster, Legacy Ridge, we got a tournament there. So not shitting on the course, shitting on this one hole up in Westminster. Is the sixth hole at Legacy Ridge. It's a par 5, and you really can't hit driver. And it's that is the most ridiculous nonsense thing of any golf course design ever on any golf hole is a par 5. It's listed at 576 from the championship tees, and you can't hit driver. And it makes no sense to me why any par 5 would be, obviously we love to go for it. And like I hit the ball relatively far when I say that compared to the average everyday player, like compared to a tour pro, I'm short and not great, obviously. But if I can't hit driver on a par 5 or go for a few par 4s when we're talking about like total course design, I'm kind of out on that place. Like I do love a good long par 4, 470, 480. That's a good golf hole most of the time. It's like, all right, you got to hit driver and you got to hit it hard, and then you still have hybrid in. Like there's no hole that's like too long. Like even playing the 773-yard par 5 at TPC, it didn't feel too long. It was just a good golf hole. We both hit drives, both hit 5 woods. I still had like 6 iron in, which was kind of crazy, but just a tougher test. And you don't have to play from the tips. You don't have to play from the furthest back every time. But yeah, I can't stand when they're like, yeah, here's a par 5 and you probably got to hit hybrid, or maybe, you can't hit it more than 280 or 290. It's like, miss me with that.
Oh no, I totally agree. I was gonna say any par 5 you can't hit driver on that's not a risk reward option is pretty much pointless. Like I don't have a problem if there's 4 par 5s with having like one gimme, like short gettable par 5, and then the rest being somewhat challenging, or even one on each 9, having a shorter one and a longer one. But I think and this just covers all of it. Like I don't necessarily hate that much. I don't feel that strongly about one thing or the other. I just like a good diversity of holes. Like you said, a few shorter par 4s that are risk reward, like somewhat gettable. Like, do you know what course actually comes to mind when I think of like the most monotonous, like repeated golf, like over, I don't even know the word for it, overly repeated golf course, I guess you would say, is the Broadmoor East course. The one that they've played U.S. Senior Opens on, they've played U.S. Women's Opens.
That's the West, isn't it?
No, that's the East. The West is the easier of the uh two. It's the more low key one. The East course is like the championship one that they host events on. But I remember playing there multiple times, and there's probably 6 or 7 par 4s where it looks exactly the same as all the other like there's 6 or 7 par 4s that look the exact same. It's a dogleg left with bunkers on the left. It's kind of a downhill tee shot, and then the bunker or the green is raised, so it's an uphill tee that there's rough in front of the green, or I'm sorry, uphill green approach shot, rough right in front of it, bunkers surrounding the green, and there's like 6 of those holes out there. It is the most over. God damn, I just can't even think of the word. I'm gonna quit trying. I just legitimately, when I was playing there, I'm like, didn't I already play this hole? Like, you get into this rhythm where you think you're playing the same hole because it's so overdone. Let me put it that way. Like, there's not a whole lot of diversity around that golf course, and if I remember correct, like there's just so many dogleg lefts. Like, probably over half the holes were dogleg lefts. And I don't necessarily like have a problem with that, but mix in a right, a left, few straight ones. I just like to see good diversity. Anything that's overdone is probably not a good thing. So switch it up. Have a few long par threes, maybe a mid length one, and then a short one. But like having 4 long par threes, I think sucks. Long par fours, long par fours are fine, but don't make them impossible. Like if you have a 490-yard par four, you don't need to put a bunch of fucking hazards around it. It's already hard enough as it is for your everyday golfer. So just a few things like that. What would you say from a layout standpoint is your favorite golf course you've ever played?
From a layout standpoint,
Yeah, like you walked away from it and you're just like, damn, I really enjoyed that golf course.
it'd have to be a place I played decent, which is narrows it down quite a bit. Um,
It is a hard question, and I'm honestly, now that I pose that question, I can't even really think of one off the top of my head that I necessarily like love. I will say I do like Stono Ferry, where all of our good buddies and member at. I like the layout of that place. It's a good diversity of holes. You're hitting some 3 woods off the tee. You're hitting some irons. There's a lot of dog legs. And I guess it's just in Charleston, so it's a sick setting. But strictly from a layout standpoint, I do really enjoy that place.
yeah, I mean, I played Colleton River at down in Charleston, or not Charleston, Hilton Head Island as well. And it was a cool layout because it was like in and out of trees. Like some of the holes were really open, some of the holes were next to water, and then some of the holes were like full on forest. It was a good layout and just a fair test of golf. A lot of the courses we play in Colorado consistently, I think, are decent layouts. But one thing that I do not like when it comes on a golf hole, and yes, like variety is great. Like have every course having a couple of holes that go way downhill or way uphill. But like there's so many courses that we play consistently or could play consistently in Colorado that are just like approach shot is like 30 yards uphill. And it's like
Yeah,
4 or 5 different times you have to do that. You can't see anything. Like you said, when you can't see the ball or where it's landing, or even for that matter, unless you're like playing it consistently and know, oh, I normally hit fucking 7-iron from here, you're like just guessing
yeah,
because it's a 200-yard shot, but it could be really a 230-yard shot. Or if you hit your 200-yard club really good and it's high enough, it's 200. So I'm not a big fan of the giant undulation and even going downhill. I mean, yeah, it's fun to hit a drive a million miles, especially in Colorado, and then having a huge like drop off, like Bear Dance has some of those. But then when it comes back up, it's just like insane. Great
yeah.
Waters in Lake Reynolds, Georgia. Great
I,
Waters is a great name.
That is a great name. I've never played golf in Georgia, so we'll have to do that at some point. I will say I got to give credit to your home spot, Inverness. That is a very good diversified layout. It's longer hitters can play it well, shorter hitters can play it well. You got to be pretty accurate, relatively speaking. But I would say just a good diversity and mixture of holes out there.
Yeah, it does have some interesting like dogleg right, dogleg left, some under like there's 70, you're going downhill, and then you're going there is kind of a lot of dog leg rights on the front, which is nice. I've been playing the front pretty consistently recently. Haven't gotten an 18er in a while, but um, they do have a par. They have only one par 5 on the front, which that is a notch for me. I'm not a fan of. And whether or not you say so, like I just played yesterday. I did get to play the second hole. I only played 3 holes because we got rained out, but you can't really hit driver on the second hole, which is a par 5, and or you have to be deadly accurate with it, or else you're because your second shot, then you're hitting
off the face of the planet like you like to do. You have to hug the trees up the left, or maybe hit like a baby draw, but
well,
you just can't fade it.
So I did hug the trees up the left yesterday with a baby draw, and I was just in the old. It was used to be a bunker, and now they did that whole bunker renovation, so it's just grass. So I mean, and it's a ground under repair, so I took it out of there. But then you have 240 in from the rough, and it's like then you got, and it's kind of an awkward. It's an awkward approach shot if you're in the general area because you're either all or you're way short. You know, like if you have 240 and you have to carry it 225 to get it to that little area over the creek, or you have to lay back and hit it like basically hit wedge, which kind of annoys me as well, unless you're in the right spot. I just haven't been in the right spot a ton on that hole, so maybe playing it more this summer, I'll get one in the right spot and can hit it in 2 or go for it. At least try to hit it in 2.
Well, I was gonna say the place I hit driver is generally like 250 out down the right edge of the fairway, and that's a fairly decent look. Like if you do go too far right, it is a little bit on the janky side, but at the end of the day, it's a risk reward. Like you either try to pull off the shot and you get there in 2, or you just lay it up and hit a wedge in and test your game. So it gives you options. It's not just that is the ultimate thing when a hole dictates the way you need to play it. That bugs me. Like I want there to be multiple ways to play a hole because that's golf in general. Everybody plays it differently.
Yep. All right, let's transition this into let's give a quick shout out to Nelly Korda. I don't know if you saw this. It kind of got unfortunately hidden a little bit because of the major championship. But this past weekend at the Mizuho America's Open at Liberty National, she won again, 6 out of 7. She didn't get arrested, so now is she overtaken Scotty Scheffler for like best golfer in the world all around?
I mean,
if
you're talking strictly, just streaks, she's the hottest golfer in the world right now. I will say that shout out Monday Q Info. It feels like we bring him up on almost every episode at one point or another, but he tweeted out because he was actually out there doing like media. They had like, I don't know who did it or what happened, but they had some sort of like food poisoning go around. I think they had like 8 or 9 players withdraw because they were maybe they just needed some Imodium, or I don't know what was going on. Maybe they didn't have enough porta potties out there like John Rahm has spoken to. But I think a lot of girls were having stomach issues, like whatever they fed them the night before or something like that. So that is actually pretty funny. If you like, have you ever seen those videos where kids will put like laxatives in the brownies and bring them to class, and then there's just like 30 kids all trying to hit the bathroom at the same time? That's like you just see like 10 girls on the LPGA tour at one time, like start to look around and get all sweaty, like, holy shit, I need to find a bathroom. That's actually kind of funny in all honesty. But I mean, is there an asterisk next to this win because she didn't get food poisoning, everybody else did? That's what the people are wondering.
Oh man, you're bringing up a tough topic. She just fought. Maybe she just fought through it. You know, I've never really had food poisoning. So
you've never had food poisoning?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Wow.
Not like you had in Salida that one time. That was very clear that something was
going
down. I've had it
3 times, and I would not wish food poisoning on my worst enemy. It is the worst thing you can experience in your life because you're the most dehydrated you will ever be. It feels like you just spent a month in the Sahara, and the moment you drink water, you're either going to it's exiting one way or the other. You're either throwing it up or it's going the other way. So you can't even drink water. I remember one time I had food poisoning and I was so fucking thirsty and I had a popsicle. Like I saw this red popsicle in my freezer and I was like, fuck, like that that just looked like an ice cold glass of water, like one of the mirages that you see like in a movie where you're in the desert and you see this water and you're like, holy shit. I saw that popsicle and I was like, oh my God. I had it and immediately threw it up like 30 minutes later, like in bed. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. I was like, I am such a fucking idiot. So yeah, food poisoning, terrible. Nelly Korda, not terrible. She's very good.
No, it's so yeah, won 6 of 7. She's won 6 of her 8 starts this year, so she's got a 75% win percentage, and she's one of only 4 LPGA Tour players in history to win 6 times before June 1st on the tour, joining Babes Harris, Luis Suggs, and Lorena Ochoa. So
Wow.
all Hall of Famers. So Nelly's definitely on her way there, continuing her insane run, because like placing top 10, I mean, which she has. So placing top 10 in 7 straight LPGA events is an insane run. Winning 6 of them and being T7 in the other one is just like stuff I can't even comprehend. Like it's
100%.
we're gonna see if Scotty Scheffler can do it. Obviously, he didn't at the PGA Championship, but he's the overwhelming favorite this week again at Colonial. So we'll see if he can kind of continue. Maybe he wins. If he wins like 2 or 3 more in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be like verging on. It's already a pretty historic season, but it's verging on one of the all-time seasons of golf. If he can keep his ass out of jail, that's the biggest key.
Dude's a fucking criminal, man. Let's see if he can.
They did not drop the charges, and they moved the arraignment to like June 3rd or some shit. So he's still gonna have to go and fucking go to this court shit.
A lot of people said they didn't drop the charges just because they want to negotiate him not like suing the absolute tits off their body. Like, I think that they were like, we need to get him in here to negotiate him not bankrupting our entire county for wrongfully suing him over a ripped pair of $80 pants.
100%.
So we'll find out. We'll have to get the what do they do? Annotate those court meetups.
We'll have to get a transcript.
Yeah, we'll have to get the transcript of the court date. Scotty will be like, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for getting me out here today, flying private to Louisville, Louisville. Yeah, that'll be hilarious.
Yeah. All right. We know now Rory McIlroy divorced. His plane was tracked going back to Northern Ireland after the PGA Championship. I just got in this weird plane tracker Twitter.
Dude, just so weird place to find yourself on the internet. Like when you're tracking. Well, you sent me Jay Monahan's fucking private.
So that's where I got down that rabbit hole. But let's just give some quick suitors for Rory McIlroy to continue his love and dating life with.
Well, so there's a few books. I don't know if I don't think Bet365 offers it, but they had a list of people of potential suitors for him. Elin Nordegren was on the list.
I don't think she can. Well, you never know. Maybe she dabbles back in the golf game.
Fool me once, shame on me, or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type of shit. But that would actually be hilarious to ignite a little Tiger Rory rivalry. You get Rory on Tiger on a hot mic being like, how's my sloppy seconds or whatever. That would be actually pretty funny. Caitlin Clark, she actually has a boyfriend, but I think that would be a matchup that America needs. And it would actually
Kelsey Plum.
Oh, Kelsey Plum would be a good one.
Kelsey Plum. But going from Darren Waller to Rory McIlroy, that's quite the, Yeah.
Well, there is a saying for that type of thing that she can never go back. But at the same time, maybe she's had one kind of dude. Now she wants to go to another dude, a different kind of guy. Maybe she's switching up her type. But I will say, by the looks of the way she walked into WNBA opening night, she's not looking for a Rory McIlroy type.
Yeah, no. But that was
impressive. That turned some heads.
Yeah, the WNBA. Did you see the Cameron Brink laughing at fucking Shohei Ohtani and all the tweets? People are like, this guy can't even speak English, and he's got. What's he laughing at? Or like, oh my God, it was so good.
I saw a tweet that was like, not a translator in sight.
Dude, I'm fully convinced he completely understands the English language and just doesn't want to deal with it.
Oh, dude. Well, there's a lot of I feel I don't think this is a hot take. There's a lot of foreign people that love to pretend like they don't know English when it's convenient for them. So yeah, Shohei's just hoodwinking all of America on that shit.
All right. Do you have a fairway or four? You want to wrap this up with a little fairway or four for this week? I'll start with mine. I'm just
okay.
going to say it. I did allude to it earlier in the pod, but I'm a back end guy. Like, is that okay? We can talk about whether or not it's definitely helpful, but is that like if you see somebody backing in, are you like, oh, they're trying too hard?
Yes.
I think Marissa's with you. She was just raising her hand.
1,000.
Douchey. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I like to make it easy on myself pulling out.
It's really not that easy. Like, it's the same amount of effort that it would take to back out of a spot to back into a spot. You're just making it happen before versus after.
Exactly. And
you're just a douche.
I will say there is some places, like if you're pulling into like a crowded parking lot, like before a baseball game, and somebody's just waving you into an imaginary spot, then yes, backing in is always easier because you never know where you're going to be able to pull out, whatever. But if you're just pulling into any regular ass parking lot and you pull past the spot, throw that ass in reverse, I have an issue with that.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
I lost.
My fairway or four is about household chores. I don't know if we've talked about this or not before, but it's on my mind. Carrying in and putting away groceries is probably my least favorite household chore. Like, I actually don't mind going to the store and checking out's always a pain in the ass because you just are a little bit lighter in the wallet by the end of it. But actually the act of putting away groceries, especially like I went to Costco and I had to go get we have a wagon. I had to go get the wagon because you don't have any bag. They don't give you bags out here. There's not even an option to buy bags, and they don't give you boxes at Costco either. So you just have all this loose shit. So I had to get a wagon. I filled up this massive fucking wagon full of groceries. And then, you got to portion shit out. You got to figure out what goes in the freezer, what goes in the fridge. It took me like a half hour. I was like, when you get home from the grocery store, you just want to like be done and take a breather. But that was not the end of it for me.
Yeah, I think dishes is still my number one, but the carrying in of the groceries after you're like at the store, especially if you're already like carrying them in to try to cook, if you're carrying them in and you got it like a little time, it's not as bad, but nothing makes me more mad. And I will refuse to take more than one trip in. So I've got like my pinky hurts, my left index finger hurts because I'm trying to hold something. I'm like walking squatted and like arms wrapped around the shit because I don't want to take a second trip. Yeah. I just am not a second trip guy. I'm a one trip in, one trip out.
I feel that that was not an option here, but it is just a massive pain in my asshole.
Pain in my assholes. All right, that's going to wrap up this week of Big Drive Energy. We appreciate you all tuning in. For those of you on TikTok, hit us up on the YouTube. If you're still watching on the YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate those at all times. Follow us on social media. I am at Big Drive Spence. He is at Big Drive Mitch. Big Drive Energy Pod on Instagram. Big Drive Energy on X and TikTok at Marissa Sayas 11.
And our gambling picks will be going out on the
should we throw those up really quick?
Sure.
No, we're not. Okay, I got a hard no. Let's just say who they are. In the Charles Schwab Challenge this week, those will go on our Instagram. Austin Eckroat plus 3,300 for me. Mark Hubbard plus 5,000. And yes, to be a playoff. There's been a playoff 4 of the last 6 years here. It's plus 350. So I'm in on that.
That's fire. I got Tony Finau plus 2,000, Minwoo Lee plus 2,500, Thomas Dietrich plus 3,500. Bang.
Scotty Scheffler plus 200 to win this. Hopefully he doesn't, but we'll see. Maybe. No, he's a redemption story now. We'll take it.
Okay, we'll take it.
All right, enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Monday with a Winner's Circle edition from the Colonial Tournament Charles Schwab Challenge. Talk to you Monday. Peace.
Peace.